won't be that difficult. But we're going to learn these 5 vitamins together. Vitamins that you speak. Here's vitamin number 1. I love you. I love you. What's vitamin number 1? I love you. There's a high school not too far from where we live in Orlando called Dr. Phillips High School. Mrs. Mary Ann Revelle is a high school English teacher. And she's been talking about retirement for the last few years. And about 4 or 5 years ago, one of her students, just for the fun of it, got a bunch of her friends together during the summer, and they made snowflakes. You know, you get paper and you fold it over and you get it up. It's all magical snowflake. You've seen these, right? They did a bunch of snowflakes, and they hung them with strings from the ceiling of Mrs. Revelle's English class. Well, when she came back from the summer and she walked into her room, here's the ceiling covered with all these snowflakes. It was a wonderful thing. Well, over the years, summer school, spitwads, kids stepping up on their chairs and pulling them down, the snowflakes began to disappear. Well, Mrs. Revelle decided that maybe when the snowflakes are gone, she'll retire. She's been at this for a long time, and she and her husband bought a home in Mount Dora, which is about an hour from Orlando, kind of as their almost retirement place. So at the beginning of the last school year, she told her students, she said, you know, there are only 3 snowflakes left up there, and my husband and I have talked about it. We decided when the snowflakes are gone, we're going to retire. Well, over Christmas, some of the kids got together, and they made some snowflakes. Mrs. Revelle came back after Christmas, and she walked into her classroom, and the ceiling was covered with snowflakes. And on the board were the words, "We love you." I love you is a powerful combination of words. In fact, when our girls were small, we gave each other extra credit for putting your name on the end of that. I love you, Julie. I love you, Bobby. I love you, Dan. I love you, Andrew, Mary, and Chrissy. And our kids, I love you, Daddy. Oh, melt on the floor. Do I hear an amen from a dad in here? There you go. Extra credit if you put the name on the end. I love you. In fact, these days of cell phones and emails, what a wonderful thing to sign off the email. Now, love ya isn't the same. It isn't. It's not the same. Love ya is what you say when you're running out the door, you're late for work, you got a bagel in this hand and a cup of coffee in this hand, your briefcase over your shoulder, and you're hollering back to your family, "Gotta run, love ya, mean it," right? It's nice. I mean, it's better than clean the garage. But it isn't the same as saying, "I love you." They're wonderful, powerful, magical words. Vitamin number 1 is I love you. See, no need for PowerPoint. Number 2, I need your love. I need your love. That sounds strange, doesn't it? Well, here's what this is about. It's about expectations. It's about expectations. Here's what I mean by that. You walk into the kitchen, your spouse is there, gender neutral, got it? Your spouse is there cooking dinner. I know a lot of guys that love to cook. And somebody walks into the kitchen and they're feeling the need for some kind of affection. They're feeling the need for an affirming word. They'd love to have somebody say, "I love you." They'd love for somebody to give them a hug, but nobody does. So they get the feeling that nobody cares, that nobody loves them. Well, that's not true. So what we decided to do was we just speak our expectations. Our daughters would walk into the kitchen and we gave them complete permission to say, "You know what? I need a hug." So we give them a hug. Now, we didn't automatically just think, "Oh, here's a kid, walk in the kitchen, give him a hug." Right? Because we got stuff to do. So we spoke those expectations. Expectations early in our marriage showed up in the form of vacations. When Bobby was a little girl, she and her 2 sisters and their mom and dad would go on vacations. Every time there was a sign that said, "Scenic Lookout," "Pralines at Stuckey's," "Antique Fair," they'd stop My dad-in-law loved stuff like that. He still does. And they'd get off the highway and they'd take a couple hours and do this and do that. And so that was Bobby's vacation. That's what she knew a vacation to be. And there was my dad. My dad did not take trips. He conquered them. And you lose. You stop for gas, you fill the tank up, you run into the little room and empty your tank, and if you're not back by the time the tank is full, it never happened because we were in a hurry, but they'd leave without us. I mean, it was a great contest. You know, it was pretty good, kids. It only took 2 minutes and 35 seconds. You beat your best time by 10. I'm serious. That was, almost serious. Okay, now these two people get married to each other, right? You see, the trip. Bobby's vacation, stop at everything. So we'd come home from a vacation and we were more tired than when we had left. Does anybody understand this? Anybody identify with this? So we said, you know what? We got to talk about vacations. So what we decided to do was do it my way. No, I'm just kidding. We decided we'd talk about it. It was vitamin number 2. It was talking about expectations. It was identifying, you took vacations as a kid. Your dad's love language was, let's stop at everything. My dad's love language was, we're going to beat last year's time if it kills me. So let's have a couple intense days of driving for me. Let's have some days where we go to the antique malls. That's my love language. It's a lot of work. Do I hear an amen from any men in here? There'll be some days when you can go shopping. We can go shopping. And there'll be some days you book, and I want no noise. So we just talked about it. We made a deal. We talked about expectations. It's vitamin number 2. It's I need your love. Understand? Makes sense? So, vitamin number 1 is, vitamin number 2 is, now there's a little extra credit thing about vitamin number 2. Let me show it to you. I got this actually from my mother, who had gotten it from her mother. Now what I want you to do is take the hand of somebody you know. This is not a time to take the hand of somebody you know. Just one hand here. This is not a vow, go married again or whatever. Just take one hand. Now, the person who is sitting the closest to the center aisle here, I want you to go first, okay? I want you to squeeze that person's hand 4 times. Okay? All right, now the person who just got squeezed, I want you to squeeze back 3 times. Okay? Am I going too fast? Okay, now the first person who squeezed, I want you to squeeze twice. And now the other person, I want you to one hard squeeze. Don't hurt anybody, but just like, okay. My mother and I used to do that in church. And here's what it meant. Do you love me? 4 squeezes. Isn't that great? I just heard somebody go, aw. Don't encourage me. We'll just keep going all morning. Do you love me? 4 squeezes. Yes, I do. No explanation necessary. Well, isn't that fun? You ever been sitting somewhere in a movie, church, whatever, and see you can do this and nobody knows? This is great for teenagers. And you're sitting there and you're thinking, well, here we are, another worship service is terrific, and here I'm sitting next to this person that I've committed my life to, or that I'm thinking about committing my life to, or that I just met last weekend and I'd like to build a with me. And you take a hand and you go, do you love me? Yes, I do. How much? It's fantastic. And the best part is nobody knows about it. In fact, let's just do it right now, okay? Let's start with the other person, the person who's sitting the furthest from the center aisle. I want you to start, okay? You start. Go 4 times. We got a triple here going on. All right? So you go ahead, you do it. 4 times, 3 times. Instructions clear? Okay, go ahead, go. I'm hoping somebody walks in right now. What are these people doing?